Hello. Pardon the snow plows. It is very snowy out there today. Let's see. Okay, angle. It's going to give it a minute or two to see if some of you start popping on live. I'll introduce myself for... There's a lot of snow. I'll introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. My name is Ashley, and I write about food and recipes over on Big Flavors from a Tiny Kitchen. It's bigflavorstinyKitchen.com. Hang on one second. Hello, whoever just joined. Honey, can you go?
Yeah, did you want to press the switch or the iPad up there?
I know. Can you, I'm live. Can you please get him? Sorry, we've got a snow day. Hi, Sharon. Hi, Rob. We've got a snow day here in New York. There's plows going by. My son is here, actually. Ian, do you want to come say hi really quickly? Ian? Come here. Would you like to come say hi really quickly before you go upstairs? Hey, say hi.
Hi.
This is Ian. He is my son, and he's going to be 7 on Thanksgiving next week, right?
Yeah.
And he has a snow day, so he's home today, right? All right, turn around. Go upstairs. Thank you. The Backsplash, we remodeled our kitchen a few years ago, and it was nice because we got to customize everything. It's just how I wanted it. And then I drew on the wall with a Sharpie. Our friend laid out the Backsplash, and I drew these little places where I wanted individual stacks of the tile to go with it. I have nightmares, not nightmares, but that I moved to a bigger house with a huge kitchen, and I'm like, but it's not the tiny little kitchen that I customized, which is ridiculous, but anyway. So you can find me on bigflavorstinyKitchen.com. Hi, Mike. Or on social media at Big Flavors, everywhere except Twitter's at Big Flavors Blog. And I have a couple of quick notes. I added an events tab to my website, so if you go to bigflavorstinyKitchen.com/events, you'll be able to see the Facebook Lives I have scheduled and also local events such as next Sunday, November 25th, so not this coming Sunday, but the one after Thanksgiving, at First Village Coffee in Austin, New York. It's right on Main Street. Awesome coffee shop. We're doing a pop-up Friendsgiving brunch, so I'm gonna make some dishes. You guys make some dishes. Bring in don't bring your Thanksgiving leftovers. Nobody wants that. We're doing brunch items. Hi, Ellen. Brunch items. The coffee shop's gonna be providing a free pour-over bar, pour-over coffee, and some baked goods. And if you don't have to make something, you can buy something and bring it. And if you don't have time or don't feel like it, bring in a donation for the Ossining Food Pantry. Just trying to have a fun, free community event. Get to know your neighbors. Downtown Ossining is so much cooler than it was when I moved here back in 2005. So we're doing some really fun things. So I'll be updating that with events as they are scheduled. This actually, I surveyed you guys to see if you wanted Instant Pot cranberry sauce or Instant Pot mashed potatoes, and it was tied. Here on Facebook, 68% of people wanted cranberry sauce, 68% of people on Instagram wanted the mashed potatoes, so I'm doing cranberries today, and I'll do the mashed potatoes on, let's see, I have a date, the 30th, because, is that next Friday already? Yeah, I'll do them next Friday because I'm going to a different Friendsgiving at a friend's house that Saturday, and I'm gonna bring mashed potatoes, so it kind of helps me out. I have to make them anyway. And they hold up well, left over. So today it's boozy cranberry sauce. This is my Instant Pot. You don't need an Instant Pot to do this. You can do it on the stovetop. You can do it in the oven. The original recipe for cranberry sauce that I made was from Bon Appetit back from 1991. And they have you do it in the oven, and I didn't really like that method. It's very apt to boil over, and it's not so great. So this is going to take a little bit of time to build pressure and also to release pressure. So I'm going to get it started, and then I'll talk through. I got a bunch of really good questions from you guys about Thanksgiving prep and some other fun stuff that's coming up. So you don't have to put alcohol in this, but it's delicious if you do. This uses 2 standard size 12-ounce bags of cranberries, so 24 ounces total. And just dump them in. I'm gonna do my best, since the angle is not great, to let you see once it starts boiling, but because basically we're gonna put sugar and some spices and orange juice in here and orange zest, let it come to a boil, and then close it and pressure cook it, and it's only gonna take 8 minutes on high pressure. But then the pressure needs to naturally release, which means we're gonna let it sit until the button drops down on its own instead of forcing a pressure release, which you can do. So 2 packs of cranberries. I'm gonna do 2 cups of sugar. This is like, you know, special occasion stuff. It's not very healthy or light, but that's fine. So my Instant Pot is the 6-quart. It's got like the yogurt making feature, which I've done once and it turned out great, but it has to incubate for, I can't remember how long, like a lot of hours, and then it has to sit in the fridge in the base. So either if you don't have another base, or you only have one Instant Pot, as is a normal person would only have one, you can't use it. And I use it a lot. I use it as a rice cooker. I use it for making stews and hard cooking eggs, soft cooking eggs. Like, I use it a lot, so I don't like having it be out of commission. So I still just tend to buy my yogurt, but it is cool. It's kind of a fun like science experiment for kids. So 2 cups of sugar, 2 packs of cranberries. Let me just see. Potatoes can be made ahead. I make them ahead. Do you boil? Hi, Nimya. Do you boil on saute or do you program manual? I will show you. Okay. So 2 cups of sugar, 24 ounces of cranberry. I'm going to use 1 cinnamon stick. I like Penzeys. There's a lot of great brands, but I've been shopping at Penzeys forever. They're great. Their prices are really fair. I think I learned that they don't have a middleman, so instead of a spice company that has to go through somebody who gets the spices from whatever country, like they just do everything direct, so the prices are pretty low and they have everything. And if you have a Penzeys store in your area, you can go in and they have like 10 different types of cinnamon, and you can sniff each one and you'll be able to smell the difference between, like, Vietnamese cinnamon is a little spicy, and there's Chinese cinnamon, there's a ton of different ones, and then they have their like house blend kind of Penzeys cinnamon, which I use for baking and stuff. But every single spice in that store has a little jar out that's like airtight that you can open and sniff, and it's like a smorgasbord for your nose. I don't know, it's like the best way I can think to describe it. So I've got an orange. I'm just gonna take, with a vegetable peeler, 2 kind of big fat strips of orange zest. If they break off or go small, just throw 3 of them in there. I did have somebody ask me, if you don't like orange, what can you do instead? You don't have to use any citrus in here if you don't want to. You could use lemon. You could use maybe a little bit of grapefruit. Tangerine, if that's far enough removed from an orange for you. But some people just really don't like it, and that's fine. It's not key to the recipe. And similarly, I had a few people ask about the bourbon. Usually when I make this, I divide it in half after it comes out, because I don't cook the bourbon out. I stir it in at the end. So I will put half the amount of bourbon in just half of the batch, label it so that like kids and people who don't enjoy alcohol or don't want it can know which one is like safe for them. But you could also use, if you don't like bourbon, because that was a question, Grand Marnier would be good. That's like an orange liqueur. You could, I'd be all about experimenting with different types of alcohol, just see what works. Like, I feel like rum, a spiced rum might work. I don't know why not. Okay, so I have 1 cinnamon stick in there, my 2 strips of orange zest. I need 2 tablespoons of freshly squeezed orange juice, so I just used this is just a citrus ring with a little spout. I have a couple different styles. I like this one for bigger stuff like orange juice. And these are just little measuring beakers. I got this. This is actually a really great stocking stuffer. This is a little set from OXO, and they nest, which is nice when you're trying to save space. Hi, Beth. They have, yes, Penzeys does have vanilla extract. They have so many. So these nest inside each other. The biggest one goes up to a cup, and they go down to like the smallest one does a teaspoon total. But you can see there's little like increments for different measurements. So it's kind of a nice option aside from always having spoons. So I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons. Right in there. And then a whole star anise. I got these from Penzies also. I just have like magnetic spice containers, but this is a star anise, also known as like, get a close up of that, kinda. That one's not very full star. Yeah. The prettiest of spices, I think. They're just so pretty. And they smell really nice. If you ever have like Vietnamese food, like pho, like that noodle soup with the beef and veggies, a lot of times there's star anise in there. I used to hate the flavor of anise and licorice, but now I'm all about it. So just gonna put 1 of those in there. So it's just enough to add a flavor, but it's not so much that it's like overwhelming. And then if I can open my pack of cloves, this one gets kind of stuck closed sometimes. So I'm gonna add 3 cloves. At the end, you have to remember to fish out the whole spices, especially the cloves, because if you bite into that, that's not very pleasant. But you could also just warn people like, hey, FYI, there's some whole cloves in there, and then you're off the hook if things get a little, if somebody bites into it. So let's just make sure I have everything. Cranberry, sugar, cinnamon, star anise, cloves, orange zest, orange juice. The bourbon happens last. So everything is in my Instant Pot base. So you can see it's just like all that goodness. I'm gonna hit the saute button, and right here it's on more for me, but if it's not, you can hit adjust. It does less, normal, or more. That's just kind of like a low, medium, high type of thing. I want it to boil, so I'm putting it on more, and it'll beep when it's ready to start. So now I know that it actually has turned on. So you have like a couple seconds to finagle if you need to change the amount of time. Like it said 30, that's just the default or the last used number that I did. I usually leave it at that because if I'm searing something, this is what you would do for searing. You would hit saute and high, and then you could put some oil in there and sear. Like I do pot roast, and I sear it right in here. And then I add liquid. And I can't remember offhand if I add the veggies then and close it and cook it up, or if I cook it and then add the veggies in later so that they don't cook for quite as long. But the recipe is on my website, and it's delicious. So I'm just gonna kind of tossing everything together. Every couple minutes, I'm just gonna keep stirring until the sugar melts and it starts to boil. And I'll see if I'll be able to show you. Maybe. I don't want to like burn myself, but I would like you to be able to see. Maybe I'll take a picture of it with my phone and I'll post it on Instagram later. So this recipe, this version, I actually made last year for Thanksgiving, 2017. It was a huge hit, and I have not yet typed it up to put it on my website. So that just happens sometimes. So let me go back to some of these questions. Vanilla extract. Penzies also has like lemon extract, almond. I buy this double strength. You can see I use it a lot. Double strength vanilla extract. And I don't cut down the amount I use. So if something calls for a teaspoon of vanilla, I use a teaspoon of the double strength. And there's a whole, you're not going to be able to see really, but you can see the little shadow. There's a whole vanilla bean pod, or maybe a half of one in here. So what I like to do is after I finish the vanilla, I'll use that bean and scrape it and make vanilla sugar. They do also sell vanilla sugar. That's very good, but kind of a nice way to make it, yourself out of something you already have and that you might otherwise just throw away. So it's not really starting to melt yet. It's just like crumbly, sugary, but you can hear little like crackling noises, like it's starting. So I make this ahead, but I'm making it for Thanksgiving this year, and I'll probably do, I'll make it on Tuesday or Wednesday for Thanksgiving on Thursday, because it holds up really, really well in the fridge. You might be able to freeze it also, though. I have not tried that. So you can really, I don't know if you can hear it. I can hear it, but it sounds like it's boiling, but the sugar is still crystally and chunky. So just keep storing it every once in a while to make sure it doesn't stick to the bottom. What kind of peeler? I just used a vegetable peeler. This one I've had for like 1,000 years. It's a Farberware one. This is the one that I showed you before. If you have this little loop at the top, you can use it to scrape out the seeds of a cucumber, which is a pretty good time saver. Also, if you guys have questions for Thanksgiving meal prep or anything, I have a list of ones that people asked in advance, but if you have more, feel free to pop them in the chat and I will address them. Turn on some fans. We had a ceiling fan. We have like a mini ceiling fan, but this one's a little bit bigger. We had the smallest itty bitty ceiling fan for a long time, and the pulley broke, and so the fan was stuck on. So the light you could turn off or on, like that cord still was there, but if you wanted light, you had to have fan, which is okay in the summer, but in the winter it was kind of awful because it was always windy in here. You couldn't adjust it, but we finally replaced it recently. Let's see. Definitely the prettiest of spices. I love star anise. Hi, Amber. Last used. It's smart like that. I don't remember what that was. Oh, last used. Yeah, the Instant Pot. It'll save, like, I do eggs probably the most often, and I think I usually do 9 minutes for hard-boiled. And so if I hit manual, it defaults to high pressure 9 minutes. Because that's what I use it for the most. There's a rice button. You don't even have to mess with it. You just hit the button. So this is starting to get better. It's not boiling still, but it's, let me see. Can I do this? So you can see it's still like chunky crystally, but it's gonna melt down fairly soon. Side note, if you have never had a vertical spoon rest, especially if you're working with a small space, this usually lives on my stovetop. I like it because it doesn't, like the flat ones kind of take up a lot of room. Anyway, I use this stuff all the time. It does already smell like Thanksgiving. Oh, and I'm planning to try, if it works out, I will try to, I'll post about it, but I'm planning to try using a little bit of this cranberry sauce in the bottom of a champagne flute and topping it with Prosecco, because I think that would be delicious. Maybe throw a rosemary sprig in there. Let me write that down so I remember. Because I think that would be a really fun, festive, like, cocktail. All right, let me see if there's any more questions in here. How about wrapping the whole spices in cheesecloth? Oh, you could. You could put them in a spice vault. It's only a couple. They're usually pretty easy to find. Yes, you definitely could. You could do cheesecloth, or if you have one of these little dealies. I've never put one in the Instant Pot, but I don't know why you couldn't. I could have. The cinnamon stick wouldn't work in here because it's too small, but unless you broke it, but that's easy to find. But yeah, you could put your spices in here and then just and then drop that in. Good idea, Ellen. I like it. I'm fully convinced I need an Instant Pot now. Yeah, you totally should. And if you want to buy one, if you want to see the one that I have, if you go on, I have a link to my Amazon shop on the top of my website. The very top, there's like the different social media icons, like my YouTube channel on Instagram and all that, and then you'll see an Amazon icon that'll take you to my Amazon shop, or it's amazon.com/shop/bigflavors. I have this in there, and I put it toward the top of my Facebook Live list in case any of you wanted that for now. So, and I make like 2 pennies if you buy something, which is wonderful, and I love it. So you can see now it's starting to get saucy. So the sugar is melted, and if I look, I can see that the liquid is bubbling. So I'm gonna like scrape off this sugar that's stuck here. So you can hit off. I think you can actually, like, if it's on one thing, I think you can just switch it, but I'm gonna do high pressure for 8 minutes. So I went over this when we did the deviled eggs, but for those of you who aren't here, this is the lid that I'll lock down on the Instant Pot. This little button here is, right now you can see it's down, it's not up with the top. When it reaches pressure, it comes flush with the top here, and that's how you know that the pressure has been reached. So when I put this on the Instant Pot base, I'm gonna move this from venting to sealing. So it'll be on sealing, the button will be down, and once the pressure releases, the button pops up, and that's when it starts counting your cooking time. So it'll just say on until this reaches up, and then it'll say 8, and it'll count down from 8 minutes. Once that's done, since we're doing a natural release, I'm just gonna wait for this to drop back down by itself. If we were doing a manual release, I would very carefully move this knob from sealing to venting, and like steam would shoot up, and yeah, so that's the difference. So this gets locked on the top, and it sings to you. I'm scooting it back to sealing, and then I'm gonna hit manual, and you can see you can hit it, the plus or minus to get down to the number of minutes you want. So 8 minutes, it's on high pressure. You can hit the pressure button if you want to switch it between low and high, but we're going to do high pressure 8 minutes. And that's it. It'll beep when it's ready. So now it's starting to build pressure. And that, aside from stirring in bourbon, like that's the recipe, that's it. So I can now chat with you guys. Ooh, I could also show you, I might get a new orange. I could show you how to make a fun garnish too. If you do cocktails, or it doesn't even have to be for cocktails, this is called a channel knife, and it's got this like, see this little like stabby piece? I don't know if this will work on a half orange, but you take it and you put it into the zest here, and that's how you can get those like really long, sorry, it's like squirting a little orange juice since it's already cut, but it's how you can get like super long strips. You can get them longer than this, but and then you can just kind of like form it into a spiral. You could actually candy these. That would be really pretty. That would be more work, and I haven't done it, but it would be really pretty. So if you kind of like pinch it a little and you get these little fun spirals, I might try candying them. I think that would be fun. Okay, so let's see. Metal taste. I don't think it would give a metal taste if you used the T-ball. These ones are pretty good because you use them for steeping tea, and I've never noticed a tea taste in that. And I have a bigger one that I've used when making like Vietnamese stocks, and I haven't noticed that. Do you have the vertical spoon rest on your Amazon? I'm not sure if I put it on there, but I will add it. Let's see. Pages of notes for you guys today. I think that made that okay. Okay. So, moving on to some of the questions that you guys have sent in about Thanksgiving. Well, first of all, where are you guys watching from? Are you hosting Thanksgiving, or are you celebrating? Not everybody celebrates. It doesn't have to be Thanksgiving for this. It's good for on the side of all sorts of things. But I'd love to know how many people are hosting. In my family, me and my father-in-law kind of split the duties. It's usually me, my husband, and my son, and then my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, and then sometimes like this year, my husband's cousin is going to join with her son. So my father-in-law always makes the turkey. I've never made a whole turkey, so I can't give you tips on those. He uses a bag, and it comes out amazing every year. Oh, Ellen posted a link to Bourbon extracts, something that's been made locally forever. Ellen has awesome taste, so I'm sure that is delicious. So he makes the turkey. My mother-in-law makes the stuffing, and she makes the soup with a turkey leg and like tortellini. It's really good. We have before, and we think it's because she's trying to fill us up so we don't eat so much turkey and has more leftovers, which I'm fine with because I love leftovers. But so this year, and do I have my notebook? I'll have to look later. We're kind of going rogue this year. I usually make all the sides and the desserts, but this year my husband's cousin is going to bring a dessert, I don't know if she's going to make it or if she's going to buy one. She lives in New York City, and so there's a ton of awesome bakeries, but she's also an awesome cook. She's going to be like on a train and whatever. So we are doing it kind of different this year. I decided my father-in-law's been sick and trying to get him back inspired to get in the kitchen and cook and eat because it's something he loves doing. It's just been hard for him lately. So he's still going to do a turkey. Mother-in-law's still going to do stuffing, probably the soup. And then we picked a bunch of recipes from the double holiday issue of Cooking Light and the new, which is going away, Cooking Light, by the way, which really stinks. But and then from the Thanksgiving issue of Bon Appetit from this year, we found a bunch of really cool stuff. So we've got DC going to 2 dinners. One, I won't be taking anything. They don't try new things. Sounds like my family. But the other, I'm considering something akin to the king salmon board. Ooh, yes. If it's a large group of people, do a bigger piece of salmon. Like I have, let's see. This is, if you get something like this, this is from my morning box. This has been hanging out in my freezer. It's like a whole big old piece of salmon, and it's a this is wild Alaska sockeye salmon. This is great. You can roast the whole thing and then pop that in the middle of the board. I have a Niçoise salmon board on my site that I posted a few weeks ago. If you try it, let me know. It's got like an herby butter topping on the salmon. It's just like makes it really buttery and flavorful. Yeah, Cooking Light's going away. And I haven't seen the farewell issue yet, but the double issue, there is so much in there. I know there's like I'll have to see if I can find my magazines in a few minutes, but there's a lot of really good looking recipes that I am gonna try out. So I'm gonna do a bunch of different side dishes. I know one is like a wild rice salad. I think it's got like cranberries and some sort of nuts probably. And there's a Brussels sprout tartane with like high crust or puff pastry, I don't remember which, and Brussels sprout has, and they get all nice and caramelized. And well, I'm making mashed potatoes for Thanksgiving because I just always make those. I feel like you have to have mashed potatoes with your turkey. I don't know. And I even like the like kind of junky green bean casserole. Alton Brown has a good one with real like fresh green beans and mushrooms and no condensed cream of soups. That's also very good, but I don't think I'm making it this year. Okay, so I had someone ask, can I make cranberry sauce ahead of time? Yes, you can make it days in advance. Just so you know, this started like hissing now, which means the pressure is about to build. The button's not up yet. That's why I have not started counting down from 8 yet. Just gonna open my window. If it's too loud, let me know. I will close it. And hopefully starting next week, I will have a better audio setup. My audio engineer husband is looking into it for me. He's helping me pick something to try to make it so it's a little easier to hear. Okay. So yes, you can make it ahead of time. I talked about that. How do you get smooth mashed potatoes? So for mashed potatoes, I don't mind them a little lumpy, but I know especially on like holidays, a lot of people like the really silky smooth. So I use, this is a ricer. So what you do is after your potatoes are cooked, you put them in the base of this, you hold it over your bowl, and then this pushes down. Like, it's harder to press once there's actual potatoes in here. But this pushes down and you get like little bits of potatoes, kind of like the Play-Doh factory you had as a kid, or I had as a kid, and it, like squirts like noodles out, but it's potato. And so once they come out of this into the bowl, it's just like you touch it and it just melts. So a ricer is really good for that. I have this in my regular Amazon shop, but I'll make sure to move it to the Facebook Live section just so it's easier because I have a lot of stuff on there. Beth is in Stamford, Connecticut. She hosts a family of 5. Our family of 5, plus any strays from the hubby's office, 1 this year, and adopted family of an older couple whose only son lives in LA and making it all. Go you. Except the turkey that hubby deep fries. Very good. Gets him and the turkey out of my tiny kitchen. Amen to that. And I assume he knows what he's doing. with the deep frying because that can always be interesting. Starting cranberries today in the Instant Pot, and I'll try other things in the Instant Pot this year. Awesome. If you want to try mashed potatoes in the Instant Pot, that recipe is online. This recipe is not quite, but it's so easy. Like, I feel like I have a regular bourbon orange one on there. All you would have to do is the cooking time on here and then add this couple spices, and it should be good. And I'm all about, like, strays, family. That's why I like Friendsgiving. Some people, like my friend Sam, do not like that term. I think it's one of those, like, made-up holidays. Extruder. Oh, yeah, I haven't used one. Is that what it's called? That's probably what it's called. Doesn't like the term Friendsgiving. It's like, it's just a made-up holiday. But I'm like, hey, anything that gives you an extra reason to celebrate and have delicious food. This says 8, by the way, now. The button's up, so it reaches pressure. So it'll count down to 0. It'll beep annoyingly for, like, a while. And then it'll say L, 0, 0, 0, and it'll start counting up. That's just how much time it's been on. Yeah. It's been off. It automatically switches to keep warm, and we'll just keep it on that until the button drops, and then we'll get the deliciousness. So yeah, I think Friendsgiving is fun. We do both Thanksgiving and Friendsgiving, and this year I'm doing the one at the coffee shop, so we're doing 2 different Friendsgivings. Oh my gosh, someone's neighbor deep fries turkeys under his carport. Clearly he hasn't seen the Good Eats turkey frying episode. That episode is amazing. If you have not seen it, it'll make you think twice about messing around with the deep fryer. Our friends actually that host Friendsgiving it's a local firefighter, and he, I feel good about having a firefighter be the one to do it, but also last year it wasn't still frozen or something, so it was a little bit of splashing, and I was just like, it was a little scary, Brian. But delicious. It ended up working out. It was really good. Okay, I'm going to take a coffee break for a second. Quick programming notes. So next Friday, instead of doing a like poll, what do you guys want to see? Next week, Black Friday. Oh yes, I was confused earlier. So next week is Black Friday. I don't leave and go shopping on Black Friday because. So I'm gonna do for the live at 10. I'm gonna do a gift guide. I have a bunch of fun stuff to share with you guys, and if you have questions about stuff I recommend, also you can message me or pop them in the chat, and I will. Like if you want cookbook recommendations or something, I can do that stuff for you. But I have a list of things that I have. Some of them are things that people I know make and are really, really cool. One of them is a coffee roaster from Indiana. He worked with my brother, and he's now doing like coffee subscription. It's very exciting stuff. So just kind of some more, I mean, I'll always recommend getting an Instant Pot for the holidays because it's like the best gift. I use it all the time. Still, and I've had it for several years now. But just like a couple, in addition to my written gift guide, which I do every year, most years, I'll do a video also, and then I'll embed that into the post so that you can refer to it if you want. I also have, I'll reshare it. Last year I did like a white elephant gift guide, and I did funny things like, there was like a kids play that looked like a DJ set, like a record, and you could like move it, like turntable. There was a bra that holds wine and has like a little sippy spout. There's a lot of wine themed ones. There was a spaghetti, I don't know the name, like the spaghetti lifting tool, like this, but it looked like a dinosaur, and I think it's called it like Spaghettisaurus Rex or something like that. It was really cute. So anyway, those are like silly but pretty fun. There was one, I think it was a cutting board that had a Heisenberg from Breaking Bad thing on it, like engraved on it, and it said "Let's cook." So just silly stuff like that. But next week it'll be like fun recommendations, things I like that I think would make good gifts. Okay, then the 30th, Friday the 30th, I'll do the mashed potatoes in the Instant Pot. Oh, if you want to do this on the stovetop, you're gonna bring it to a boil in a saucepan on the stovetop, cover it, turn it down to medium-low, stir it every 10 minutes until it reaches whatever consistency you like, which is probably like 30, 35 minutes. So this isn't necessarily that much faster, but it's mostly hands-off because once it's in there, you close it and you leave it alone. You don't have to keep stirring it and checking on it. And if it finishes cooking, it's just staying on keep warm, and you're like busy doing something, it can just stay in there and it's fine. And it will thicken after it sits in the fridge. You could serve it warm. I think it's actually tasty warm, but you might want to let it chill for at least an hour or up to several days in your fridge. So, okay. Did that. Oh, and I'll get this recipe up on my site soon, I promise. Also, I'm thinking for the week after that, so that's like December 7th, there's 2 recipes that I'm debating between sharing with you guys. One is stuffed mushrooms, which are some things that I've been waiting for years for my father-in-law to show me how he makes his. And he always starts without me. He's like, oh no, I just did a couple things. I'm like, no, I need to watch you do it and make sure I know all of the steps, because when people create a recipe, or when they make a recipe they've been making for years, they don't necessarily know. Can you turn that back on, please? Thank you. The light? Thanks. It's just a little, but it's something. So like you might not realize like, oh, I actually drizzle oil on it at this point, or like he thought something, he was like, oh, about like a 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs, but when we did it, it actually was like 3/4 of a cup. So they're really, really good. I posted them on Instagram on my story last weekend, and they were ridiculous. So that's one option. My other one is my husband Dino's restaurant style guacamole, because everybody needs to know how to make awesome guacamole, in my opinion. So those are the 2. Normally I'll have you guys vote every week, but I just feel like timing-wise, like since this was such a heated debate, I figured I'll schedule that, and then Black Friday is like its own weird thing. So, okay, back to your questions. How do you make gravy? So, whether it's for turkey or whatever, when you have like the drippings in your pan, so you take the meat out and you've got a pan sitting, it's got like all these little brown bits. What I do is I sprinkle some flour on it, stir it around until the flour starts getting brown. You can add in a little butter if you want, but you want to like toast the flour to get the raw flour taste out of it. And then you slowly start pouring in stock. If you have like a stock to match the meat you're making, so if you have turkey, if you have turkey stock, that's great, or broth. Stock usually has more flavor. For poultry, you know, turkey, chicken, they're kind of interchangeable. You can use vegetable broth. You can use water, but it won't really have, like, needs a little bit more flavor. So stock, if you have it, is preferable. But you just kind of keep adding it and whisking it, so that you add it gradually so that the lumps don't stay lumpy. Sometimes they do, and that's fine. You can always, after it sits there and bubbles away and thickens, season really well with salt and pepper, you can run it through something like this, like a sieve. Just pour it through into a gravy boat so that any of the lumps stay out if the lumps bother you. You can use the canned stuff if you want, or the jarred stuff if you want, but if you already have drippings, like, it's so easy to make it yourself. Hi, Jennifer. Okay, so I love gravy. Oh, so this is done cooking, but now we're just going to wait for the pressure to release. And that time varies depending on how full it is. You might be able to make a double batch in here. I feel like maybe a 1.5 batch, so like 3 bags of cranberry would be a good size, because you don't want to go over. There's a max fill line. I think it's like 3/4 of the way full. So this is going to just start counting up. So we'll see how many minutes it takes today until that button drops down. And then we'll stir in some booze. Okay, so I want to bring a cheese board for my family Thanksgiving. Do you have any advice? I do. First of all, you're amazing. Oh, stick blender. Yeah, you could use that. Hi, Brenda. So for a cheese board, I actually did a cheese board assembly party at my local library last week or the week before. And I came up with, for some reason this printed out all blue today, but I came up with like a little list of cheese board assembly tips for them to take home. So I have like a couple points of cheese basics, and then I have some non-cheese addition ideas for like things you could put on your board that aren't cheese. And if this is something that's of interest to you guys, I can make it available like as a download on my website. Let me know. I'm happy to do that. It's already made. I would just have to convert it a little bit. So some basics on cheese. An odd number of cheese works well, so do like 3 or 5 different types depending on how many people you're serving. Or if you're me and my friend Janine, 2 nights ago she was over and we called it Netflix and cheese. So we made a giant cheese board for the 2 of us and watched Netflix, and it was in pajamas. It was pretty fantastic. I highly recommend that. So my amount of cheese I would eat is not like normal for people. So usually 3 or 5 different types, and you want to go for a mix of different textures of cheese. So you want like a soft cheese, you want a harder cheese, maybe. Parmesan is actually something that a lot of people don't think about to add to a cheese board, but a really nice real Parmesan Reggiano, you take it and you can use the point of a knife, or if you have, like I have one of these little cheese knives that has points up here, you can use a paring knife also, but you can put it down into the Parmesan and just kind of like break it apart into chunks, and then you pile the chunks. It doesn't sound appetizing, pile the chunks, but it's delicious. So, you know, a couple different piles of cheese. You want to pre-cut at least a couple pieces of each type so that people know, like, you know, if they should be taking a wedge of something like a goat brie or something like that, or if they should be doing slices. Room temperature cheese. Make sure you take it out of the fridge. Give it at least an hour would be great. But room temperature cheese is the way to go. It's like the full flavors come out, and it's really good. So you can take it out of the fridge. You take your board, and you could just like set the pieces of cheese in their wrappers on the board to come to temperature or come down to room temperature. That way you have like kind of a general guideline of where you're going to place things. So I just would like spread them out a little bit. And I have a ton of examples on my website, but I heard the button drop. Variety makes things interesting. Mix up shapes, sizes, and colors for visual appeal. Yeah, so like sometimes I'll do one of the cheeses that has a colorful like wax rind or something, or a blue cheese that's got like the fun like veins and speckles, or if you take a log of goat cheese and roll it in fresh cut herbs or nuts or dried cranberries, that'll just give a little more of a, you know, like a pop of color. It looks pretty. I like doing more than one type of cracker or baguette slices toasted, just so there's like a couple different options for something crunchy. And make sure at least one of your crackers is plain. Like, it's good to have, there's some really good ones that have like rosemary and fig, but that doesn't go with every type of cheese. So I would try to mix that up a little bit. Am I a fan of fruit paste? Yeah, I like that. I like doing, I tend to do a jar of fig jam, and then I'll put like a little spoon. So I'll like, if I have little like bowls of olives or things like that, I tend to put, you know, just like little spoons so people can like serve themselves. And I'll put a couple like serving picks on some of the things. Like I have these little dudes that I got years ago. They're like little, I call these little characters. It's like 8 of them. And I'll just kind of put them throughout. It also helps people keep track of which one is theirs. I like to put things like olives, round things especially, in a little bowl or like an oval platter. It gives it some interest, and you can use a colorful bowl if you like, or just a plain white one. Gives it a little bit of visual interest and also contains them, because if you're doing something like a bunch of olives and you're assembling your platter and then you go walk it out and there's all these round things, it can get bad. You can do things like with goat cheese or mozzarella, you can do fresh herbs like I was saying. You could drizzle a little olive oil or balsamic over. A couple of fresh herbs just scattered around is always nice, especially, you know, like in the fall, sage is nice, or just a couple sprigs here or there. I also like those little grissini, like the little long, skinny, crunchy breadsticks are nice. You can add those. You can either put them in a cup or a cone standing up for like some height, or you could just lay them down. You can even break them into shards and just kind of place a few piles around. So many things you can do. And then I have a list on this like list that I have of some ideas for things that aren't cheese that you can add to your cheese, because it's a great way to stretch your like things you have hanging out in the fridge or your pantry. Like if you have a container of of almonds that you only have a little bit left, it looks like you meant to only put a little pile of almonds. It's not like, oh, I'm almost out of almonds, but it's a good way to use it, and then you make room in your pantry for more things. So for sweet things, I like fresh fruit, dried fruit, sometimes both. When I did with my friend the other day, I did I'm blanking. Sorry, just had a total like lapse of brain power right there. Oh, freeze-dried strawberries. Do I still have a couple? If you've never tried freeze-dried strawberries, so I have a cabinet up here. There's a bunch of different brands. I get them at Trader Joe's a lot. This one I got from CVS. They are so good. So it's like, I love fresh fruit on a cheese board, but it's a nice option. They're like these little itty bitty, and they're like crunchy. They're really good. And it's just strawberries. Like that's it, they freeze dry them. They're great on parfait. I put them on parfaits a lot. So that's a fun addition. Jams and preserves. I really like fig jam. I also sometimes red pepper jelly, especially if you put it over some softened cream cheese. You can dip crackers into that. That like blew the minds of people at my program at the library last week. Honey or a honeycomb, like a piece of honeycomb was really nice. You probably want to put it in a container, but if you do honey in a little ramekin, or like I'll often put it in something like this. I'll pour some out of the container into here, and I'll just put a little honey dipper in it because it looks pretty. This is just a bigger one. Or you could also use a spoon, but then people can drizzle a little honey on their whatever. I'm a big fan of doing like a cracker with either a fig jam or something sweet, and then a piece of cheese, like sharp cheddar is really good, and or extra sharp cheddar, and then that sweet salty thing is really good. We did the other day, we did prosciutto, so a little bit of jam, prosciutto, goat brie, a little drizzle of honey. I grabbed some chives from my garden and we put those on there too. It was really, really good. So anyway, I mean, you can get so creative with it. You can do pieces of chocolate, like dark chocolate, especially. Break up a couple chunks, scatter them about. My friend brought over these Venetian lace cookies, which thanks a lot for leaving them in my house because I've been snacking on them a lot, but they're very good, and they just were a kind of pretty addition. I had them in my Instagram story, but maybe I'll do it as an actual post because I think at this point they've expired. They only last 24 hours in stories, so it's probably not there anymore. That tiny kitchen manages to have just about everything, and Mary Poppins will be proud. Yeah, I have a spoonful of sugar too. No, I have like a very efficient. It's kind of ridiculous. I have to keep it to a minimum what I could put in here, but I try to make the most of the room. Some of the cabinets are a little more than full, and my husband doesn't love that, but he enjoys eating here, so. Okay. Savory, lemon curd you could do. That's another idea. And pomegranate, the seeds are called arils, so pomegranate arils, you could like scatter them about. Those are very pretty, especially in the fall/winter. Pressure's still up. It's been going for 10 minutes. This is why I wanted questions. I'm like, we gotta talk about something while we're waiting. Okay, so savory ideas, different nuts. You can do like mixed nuts. I've been digging this mix lately. It's almost empty, but this is a Planters Pistachio Lovers mix. It's got pistachios, almonds, and cashews. I like this. You can even do trail mix that's already pre-mixed, like fruits and nuts. Pistachios in the shell are a fun addition. They look really pretty. Just make sure you put like a little bowl to the side for shells, and like a lot of people recommend, if you're putting it out, put one empty shell in that bowl so people know what that bowl is for and they're not avoiding it and trying to like figure out where to put their pistachio things. Brie, I love brie. Brie is. I actually was thinking I might try it with this. Some of this cranberry sauce left over on top of a brie round, wrapped in puff pastry and baked, would be like so good. That would be really good. I'll try it for science. I'll let you know how it goes. Olives are a great addition, or pickles. I really like the little cornichon pickles. They're like little teeny ones, and they're very like fancy looking. And olives, any kind of olives. Just be careful if you have ones with pits, like warm people. I've been really enjoying the Castelvetrano. I don't know how to say it. Olives lately. They're green. They're very like buttery and mild. You can't really. I think they're like a gateway olive for. There's a lot of people who don't like olives, and I think that they'd be a good one to get people on board. Dried and cured meats. Prosciutto is always a classic. I like taking salami and doing like I take the rounds. I take the rounds and I'll take them and I'll just like fold them in half so they're kind of like little cone or like triangles, but folded, and it adds some texture. Kind of looks like ruffly. And again, just like tucking them in and around the areas. I mentioned all of those things. Sesame sticks. These are fun. You can usually find these by the nuts and dried fruits at the grocery store. My son loves these in his lunchbox. So they're like little, it's like little crispy, not technically crackers, but they're, it's a nice texture. Because I do like having a variety of textures, so you have like soft things, like just with the cheeses, you want a soft cheese and a hard cheese. With the side items, it's nice to have something crunchy, something soft, something sweet, something salty. Let's see, fresh vegetables. You can always add some sliced bell peppers or, you know, a little bit of crudité type things. The breakfast radishes would be really pretty. Cut up, but kind of small. Toasted or grilled bread is always nice. It looks cool and it gives you another texture also. I like doing sun-dried tomatoes. You can put pretzels on there. Another thing I did once, I did like a Middle Eastern board. So it wasn't a cheese board, but like a presentation board. And I had like a Turkish chicken salad in a bowl, and I had some tzatziki, and I had this roasted red pepper dip. And then I put little mini pitas. It dropped 13 minutes. Pressure's done, so I'll make a note of that. 13 minutes. So I cut up the little mini pitas, and I just kind of like tucked them in and around. I left some of them in half so people could stuff them if they wanted to make little sandwiches, and then some of them I did in triangles, so like little itty bitty triangles, and that worked really well too. So let's see if I can tilt this for you. See if I can do this and not burn myself, but it's not very light. Can't really. Well, I'm gonna put it in a bowl so you'll be able to see it, but it smells awesome, and so I would just give it a stir. It's liquidy right now, but once you put it in the refrigerator, it'll firm up and be like a jelly. So I'm taking out the cinnamon stick because I found it. I'll fish for cloves later. So I'm gonna divide this. Usually I divide it in about half because that's how it works. I just have these bowls. If you want a bowl with a lid, or you can use plastic wrap or something if you want. I have a set of these stacking Pyrex bowls. There's like 5 different sizes, and they all have their own lid, which makes it a little easier. So take the orange peel out of there too if you see it. Let's see, what is the best way to do this? I would normally go in at this with a spoon, but let's see. I'll move my coffee so you guys can actually see what's going on. All right. So it was easy though, right? Like, so I'm just gonna pour. You can see it's pretty liquidy right now, but again, it'll firm up as it sits in there. If you're using your Instant Pot to make more than one dish, what you can do is you can rinse this with cold water. and then like just so it cools the pot down because it's hot in here. And you don't want to, you want it to be able to be cool enough that it's going to build pressure back up at the right rate. And if it's already a little hot, it might not work so well. So there's the sauce. I'm going to take this bigger portion and add some bourbon. This one I'm going to leave as is. Just kind of let it cool till it's, you know, room temperature or cool to the touch. You can leave a lid just kind of like hanging off a little so it's mostly covered, and then put it in the cover it, put it in the fridge. So that one's going to be plain. Maybe I'll even make like a little sparkling drink for my son with that one without the bourbon and some seltzer. I think that'd be pretty good. Any type of bourbon you have right now, we've got some bourbon, bullet bourbon. I've made this with Makers. I've made this with, we have a pretty stocked liquor cabinet in our house. So if you're doing it in the whole recipe, you're going to want to add a 1/4 cup. So since this is half, I'm going to do 2 tablespoons. And again, we're not cooking this out. It's just put it right in there. And stir it in. That's it. It's done. Once it chills, it keeps for a very long time. Again, I think it would freeze well. If anyone has a lot of experience with freezing and wants to chime in on that. Otherwise, maybe I'll try to reserve a little because I'll be making this again for Thanksgiving. But oh, actually, I'm gonna make. Hi, Catherine and Lisa, popping in to say hello. We'll have to watch the replay. Looks delicious. All things cranberry is good. Yeah, it smells so good, and like the color is really nice. It's hard to tell in here, but so this will get to the consistency of like preserves or jam. Thank you guys for joining me. Hi, Barb. I'll hit these other Thanksgiving questions now just in case people are waiting for me to answer them. But if not, thank you for joining me. Again, you can find me at bigflavorstinykitchen.com, and if you make one of my recipes, tag me on social media at Big Flavors or on Twitter at Big Flavors Blog, and do hashtag Cook Big Flavors. I would love to see these. And I'm putting the links in my Instagram profile. I have a link tree link, so it takes you there and it shows you like my like 5 or 6 most recent things. I'll put this link in there once it's live, and I'll get this up on YouTube so you can watch it there too. I had a question about fun ways to use Thanksgiving leftovers. I like doing mini pot pies. You can do them in a muffin tin. You can use puff pastry. I have that recipe on my website. You just kind of like saute some of the stuff together on the stove, and then you put it in the muffin tins and you bake them, and they look really cute. Let's see. You could do nachos. You could shred the turkey and do nachos. That puff pastry, cranberry sauce, brie situation I think would be really good. I'm going to have to try that. Let's see. There's some tips. I saw some tips for baked brie. I'll share that link as well in the description when I upload it to YouTube. From thekitchen.com, the KITCHN, they have like a whole tutorial on how to do like the puff pastry wrapped brie and make it good. Hi, Trina. So that's another good way to use it. I like leftover Thanksgiving food as is, just leftover as a big plate again. But I know a lot of people like doing paninis or wraps. So my son's birthday is on Thanksgiving, and he doesn't like mashed potatoes right now, or any potatoes that aren't French fries, hash browns, or tater tots. But the next time his birthday falls on Thanksgiving, if he likes mashed potatoes, by then I want to do that Thanksgiving, like, looks like a cake, but it's savory, where it's like a layer of turkey, a layer of stuffing, a layer of cranberry, all like a layer cake, and then frost it with mashed potatoes and do little like type rosettes. I think it would be so fun, but he won't eat it. I mean, we would eat it, but anyway. Let's see. How long does frozen pie crust need to thaw? So if you're using a store-bought one, the package should give you directions for thawing on it. If you're making your own pie crust and you have it in the freezer, first of all, when you freeze it, instead of freezing it in a ball, it's better to flatten it out into like a 1-inch thick disc, and then you double wrap it in plastic wrap and freeze it that way. It's not so thick, so when it goes to thaw, it'll thaw a little quicker. Your best bet is, if you have the time, if you think about it, take it out of the freezer and put it in the fridge overnight, even 2 days. Otherwise, you can put it on the counter for like 45 minutes to an hour. Usually will thaw it all the way, but you have to make sure that the butter doesn't melt. So check in on it, and if the butter, because the butter needs to be cold when you bake it to make sure that you get like a nice flaky crust. So you should, if you find it's over room temperatured and not cold to the touch, after it's set out, just put it in the fridge for a few minutes, like 10-15 minutes, and then take it out and roll it. And some people, even after they roll it out, they put it in a pie crust, pie tin, put it in the fridge to chill it before they bake it. But you also have to be careful putting a cold dish into your oven because you don't want any explosions. Totally making the cranberry sauce. Thank you, Rob. I hope you love it. We love it. Again, it's good without the bourbon too, but you know, should you want it. So if there's a lot of really, I brought this book down. There's a lot of really good tips for pie crust in this book. It's called Teeny's Tour of Pie by Teeny Lamothe, and she has like a whole section on prepping pie crust, different types. She recommends, and I've done this before, and it's a total lifesaver down the line, if you are making pie crust, double or triple the recipe, because you're already making the crust dough, and then portion it out and freeze them, and then you have pie crust ready to go in your freezer. Then you find yourself at Thanksgiving, you're like, oh, let me just pull out a pie crust. It's already there. It's already made. I just have to roll it and bake, because, yeah, it's good. She's got recipes for, like, whole wheat pastry crust. She's got ones that have, like, alcohol in the crust. I made a bourbon, like a bourbon pecan pie, or pecan, however you say it. There's savory pies in here, too. This is a really good cookbook. There's a lot of great stuff in here, a lot of good tips. So, hope that answers pie question. I've seen mashed potatoes used as pie crust for savory pie. Bake a little first to get crusty. Going to try that sometimes. You know, I feel like I tried that, or maybe I'm thinking of a Trader Joe's potato crust something, and it didn't really hold up so well for me. But if you find a recipe that works, let me know, because I would love to try that. It sounds good. Okay. Did that question, that one. What do you recommend serving for dessert for Thanksgiving? So many things. Where do you keep all your cookbooks in the tiny kitchen? Oh, I don't. I keep them upstairs. I just brought this one down because I had this question come in ahead of time. I have a bunch of cookbooks upstairs, and it's like, I need to weed through them actually and get rid of some that I don't use, but I also check out cookbooks from the library quite often. So I'll have them for a couple weeks and then I return them. They don't take up any more room in my house. And if I loved them, then I ask for them for my birthday or Christmas or whatever. You can see this is already, like, it's already a little thicker. Like, it's not quite as liquidy. And it'll keep getting thicker and thicker. Anyway, so okay, dessert. Some of these I have on my website. Some of them I'll link to them so that you can have the recipes when I upload it to YouTube. I'll put in the description. It'll just be like a slew of links. But also I'm thinking that I will, since I have an events tab on my website now, I'll go into the events and edit the post, and I can put links to all these things there so that it's housed on my site. So it's not like, I mean, I want it to be as convenient for you as possible, but I'm just trying to figure out the best way to do that. So that you can refer to any of the things that I'm referring to. The first Thanksgiving dessert I made was the Eagle Brand's Perfect Pumpkin Pie. It's on the back of the sweetened condensed milk. It's easy. It's delicious. You can use a store-bought pie crust. Ain't nobody judging you for that. Like, I'm all about, I use store-bought pie crust pretty often. I love being ahead of the game and having them in my freezer, but it's not like something you need to know. Oh, yeah, Ellen's got plenty of bourbon. She's going to go get cranberries and star anise. I hope you enjoy. Let me know what you think. And if you try the brie thing, let me know. So that's a really great pumpkin pie recipe. Sweet potato pie, there's one on All Recipes that I've made before that's very, very good. I didn't realize that I had never made sweet potato pie before that year. And then, let me look really quickly. I remember being surprised by when you cook it, let's see. So it's one 1 pound sweet potato, and you boil it whole in the skin for 40 to 50 minutes until it's tender, and then you run cold water over it and take the skin off, and then you like add all the ingredients and whisk them together and beat them. And I didn't realize you boiled the potato first. I don't know what I thought you did, but sweet potato pie is really good, and it's a nice change from pumpkin if, you know, people get kind of pumpkined out. So that's a good one. I like, there's an Italian cream cheese and ricotta cheesecake that's on my website. It's one of the most popular recipes there. It is so good. And I actually have some updates I want to add to it because one of the times that I baked it, I got a huge crack in the middle. It still tasted great, but I ended up like making it look intentional by, I cut it into 8, 10, whatever slices. I put wax paper in between, like I folded it around each, so it looked like when you buy it at the store and they have the different toppings. So I did mini chocolate chips on some. I did salted caramel sauce. Somebody that I know, I've met kind of locally here. She's got this stuff called Carousel. She's her Cara, CARA-SEL. It's a salted caramel sauce. It is incredible. Her site is Ardent Homesteader. I'll make a note to link to that too because that stuff's delicious. You can keep it in your pantry, and it's a great stocking stuffer. Homesteader. I'll link that. It's so good. So I did that, and I think I might have done some fresh berries. So there was like 2 slices of each thing. It looked very intentional, but really I was just covering up the fact that there was a huge crack in the middle of it. Pecan pie cheesecake. Oh, that sounds amazing. Good morning, Raymond. Okay, that's another recommendation. There's a triple chocolate pumpkin pie. I adapted it slightly from a Martha Stewart recipe, but that pie is awesome also. I didn't think pumpkin and chocolate would work together, but it does. And it makes enough filling for 2 pies, not 1. So that one, you line the pie crust with melted chocolate, and then you put another kind of chocolate in with the filling, and then you drizzle another type on top at the end, and it's so good. There's a cranberry orange trifle with candied walnuts that I made years ago for my supper club from tastefoodblog.com. That is like, it's a lot of work. Because you make a pound cake, you make this compote, you make all these things, but it's like outrageous. If you're making one thing and you want to like showstopper dessert, I would highly recommend that. There's this cookbook that I was showing you, has a bunch of really great recipes. There's a chocolate cream pie with orange zested whipped cream that's really good. Sally's Baking Addiction has a recipe for salted caramel apple pie bars that are ridiculous. They're really, really good. My aunt's always made a Dutch apple pie. I have that on my site. The pictures are not very good. I need to remake it again for science. It'll be good. So those are all some good ideas. And I heard a tip years ago. I haven't done it yet, but a way to prepare for like pie fillings ahead of time. If you have time, you can make your pie filling, cool it, and put it in a plastic bag. Set the bag in a pie dish, so it's contained. Put it in a pie dish, put it in the freezer, let it freeze, and then you take the pie dish out, and then it's frozen into the exact circumference of a pie. So you can get a store-bought crust, or you make your own crust. Take the filling, put it right in there, and it's like good to go. I haven't tried it, but I think it's a good idea. Thanks for doing these. No problem. I'm so glad this was helpful. That's all the questions I think that I got so far. I'm happy to answer more, ping me on social media or here. Sometimes the notifications are a little weird, but I'll do my best. And thank you guys so much for joining me. I will see you next Friday if you join 10 a.m. for Black Friday shopping recommendations, get you set for Cyber Monday. I'm a big advocate for shop small and shop local if you can. I also love Amazon, so, whatever. I'm just not standing in line at Kohl's for 4 a.m. for a doorbuster deal, because that's just insane. But, hey, you do you. Somebody's got to do it. So, thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye.